As we talk, many young Nigerians, both at home and abroad, are completely electrified in the name of one man. Like most people, you too probably did not hear of the name Peter Obi until only recently.
It is important that we look at where we are today for people to understand the gravity of the journey we are going to take if we are going to transit. Where are we today? Nigeria have qualified to be a failed state. We have met the 2 or 3 biggest characteristics of a failed state. Number one is when you're no longer in charge of your territory. Today, we are among the top terrorized countries of the world. We are among the top kidnapping countries of the world. Bandits have taken over some parts of this country. Nigerians are being killed daily. All sorts of criminality is going on daily. Even our most important source of foreign exchange revenue, oil, is today 80% stolen. That shows how bad it is. We are the only country, apart from Venezuela, who we know is their own is because of sanctions, that is not meeting up its OPEC quota. Every other country is begging for increase, but Nigeria is not meeting up its own. And you wouldn't believe the quantity that is missing. In July alone, our total average, our quota is 1.8 million. In July, our total average was 1,083,000 barrels a day. That means that in July, we lost 707,000 barrels per day. If you multiply that by 31 days, it will give you 22,227 barrels of oil that we lost. This is a country that needs dollar. If you sell it, if you sell that oil, if you sell the quantity we lost, this is July alone. If you sell it at the average price of $110, it will give you $2,450,000,000, which at our rate of exchange of 550, you lost. If you use 550, because I used an average of 550, you've lost 1,344,700,000,000 naira. That is your country. That's what you lost in 1 month because of stealing.
What is really going on in Nigeria? How did the Labour Party presidential candidate actually wake the sleepy giant with the audacity of hope? This is the story of Nigeria and Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 general election. But how did it all start? Let's learn more about the man and why many young Nigerians, home and abroad, are rallying behind him. First thing first, the man. Who is Peter Obi? Peter Gregory Obi was born on 19 July 1961 in Anoncha local government area of Anambra State. He attended Christ the King Secondary School at Onitsha before proceeding to the University of Nigeria, where he graduated in 1984. Like most Igbo people who are well known for their entrepreneurship, his business side has the best part of him, and he concentrated on business and banking, where he eventually rose to several high-ranking executive positions in his banking career. By the early 2000s, when Nigeria returned to democracy, precisely on May 29, 1999, Peter Obi was the chairman of Fidelity Bank. The saying has it that the food a man will eat will not pass him by. So he was enticed by politics and he will eventually leave his business career for politics to serve. It's a straightforward and smooth ride to his position today, right? Wrong. In 2003, Peter Obi ran for the governorship position in Anambra State as a member of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA. But strangely enough, his main opposition was unlawfully declared the winner of the election. In 2006, after a good 3 years of court cases, Obi was declared the real winner of the 2003 election, and he assumed office in March of 2006. In November of the same year, he was impeached by the state parliament for a budget-related case. In an article relating to his impeachment, Mr. Obi stated, and I quote, "Government budget should be published. Each item they want to spend money on should be published so that people can compare the prices government are buying their item with what is in the market." The article is titled, "I was impeached for refusing to inflate budget, Peter Obi," and is available at Premier Times. His impeachment was later overturned and he returned to office in February of the next year, 2007.
Where is she? That's why I'm
Are you thinking that this is a complicated story? Then welcome to Nigeria politics, best described as the more you look, the less you see. One thing is, however, important to point out, that by the time Peter Obi left the governor house of Anambra State in 2014, he has gained new status as an advocate for good governance and a national political figure. This is something many governors in the country could not and still cannot boast of having on their record. Leveraging that legacy in 2019, Obi will be selected as the vice president of Atiku Abubakar after he has decamped to PDP. But they will lose that election to the current president, Muhammadu Buhari. While all this happened, Peter Obi was still more or less just another Nigerian politician until May of 2022, when Peter Obi became the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the upcoming 2023 general election, and he started to lay out his plan for the country. The conversation is unlike many in the political corridor of Nigeria. In short, many were convinced that Peter Obi would not go anywhere with an unknown party. But they were wrong because ordinary Nigerians were so going to be involved. Unlike the wrong estimate of some, the Nigerian electorates are not brain dead. They can identify a good candidate when they see one. Everything changed when the recordings of Mr. Obi started to surface on the internet. And like the long-awaited Messiah, many Nigerians, particularly the youth, home and abroad, responded yes, that they can count on his integrity and antecedent. The election is not done yet, but the message is already clear. You cannot underestimate the power of a people. Our Mumu Don't Do has become a slogan for the obedient movement, an army of young and resolved Nigerians who are marching across the length and breadth of the country. All the power that be in Nigeria are now suddenly aware that this is a different kind of game. But what are the situations that made all this possible? Make no mistake about it. In politics, it is the people that really count. If they can stand their ground with a single mind, then there is nothing they cannot overcome.
When I remember the looting water on our way, are you?
He doesn't have the structure many of his critics would claim. But Peter Obi has what the mainstream party representative like PDP or APC do not have. The ability to clearly address the real issues facing Nigerians and give the population the audacity of hope for a better country. While we might be wondering how Peter Obi finds the ripe opportunity he is currently cashing on, let's not forget where we are coming from and what is the situation of Nigeria in 2022. Sure, what drove Obi's status to almost sainthood by his supporters is a cumulative effect of leadership failure for years in Nigeria. Over the years, the Nigerian population have really not been touched by the dividends of democracy. The political leaders, using the forces of cohesion at their disposals, have abused and over-abused the population to the point that the people have developed political apathy for leadership and the role of government in their lives. I mean, the average Nigerian no longer expects anything from their leaders. Just to name a few, Nigeria infrastructural development had remained in its analog state, thereby making life twice as hard for the Nigerian people. The country has basically remained in darkness forever, with many successive administrations deliberately refusing, I want to repeat that, deliberately refusing to address the problem of energy in the country, even though no economy can function in darkness. The Nigerian people expected their leader to know this because they interact with other leaders in the world. Security in the country has become worse than it has ever been, with kidnapping as now the order of the day. Yet, we have a government that pretends to be doing the will of the people. How can that be the will of the people? As if the Nigerian people were condemned to everlasting suffering with a set of recycled leaders who are making sure that their people remain in poverty. This is what drives Peter Obi's candidacy into the like of Messiah, because he seems to speak to the real problems of the country with the intention of resolving them. This is why the people are responding to his call for a new Nigeria. A lot of young people across the country and in the diaspora are avid supporters of Peter Obi, and there are reasons for this. The truth is that particularly Nigerian youth are dissatisfied with the way their country is going. A country with no vision, strong national identity, and a common goal to rally the population around. It's like stagnant water moving in a circle. Is it supposed to be like that? Due to the poor political education and lack of orientation, many Nigerian youths have shied away from politics for too long. They felt unconcerned and played to the trap of ethnicity and religion divides, which are nothing more than instruments to keep the people in check. This is the 21st century, a period in human history that is dominated by super efficient internet communication, advanced technology and robotic science to help man in some of the most tedious work. Yet, Nigeria as a country doesn't seem to be found on the already moving train. The country is still in darkness, with a mere 5 megawatts of electricity for the whole country. That can barely even power a small functioning town in Nigeria. Are those who run Nigeria since 1999 not intelligent enough to understand that? That is why the population is seriously looking for alternative to the same old and recycled politicians who have demonstrated that they have nothing to offer the country other than their immediate family and to grow their fat bank accounts overseas. Do you now understand why many young Nigerians are electrified across the country? Do you now know why, unlike how campaigns are normally run in Nigeria, youths are now on the street for the candidate they feel resonate better with them? This is why this election is crucial. It's an extraordinary time. So don't just cast your vote in 2023, but guide it also, because it is your future we are talking about.